I think a lot of us hoped or expected at some point that by 30 we'd have four aspects of our lives. We'd all have a kid, a spouse, a house, and a career. And most people have maybe one of those by 30, maybe two, three if you're doing really well, and four is kind of a dream. We may tell ourselves, yeah, that's not realistic. Not in this economy. But I don't know if we really believe it, because then sometimes we feel like failures are not so good when we don't have them. And speaking for me, I have two of those. I have a beautiful house that I'm very thankful for, at which I got through some very special circumstances and the grace of God. And I also have a career where I went for psychology and ended up going into counseling. And that was really important in my way of helping people. And while I don't have a child, I do have a cat. And she's really special to me. And so I take care of her. But as far as having a partner goes, well, I don't. And so I want to talk a little today about those categories, as I'm kind of thinking of them, and maybe you can relate too. I didn't expect my life to be like it is, to be honest. It's better than I could have expected. I'll start with that, because I think gratitude is the best way to lead, and I wouldn't be authentic if I wasn't being gracious. I have a wonderful job, a job with purpose. I've written a couple of books. I did not think that would happen. I have this wonderful cat, and I really do have some of the best people in my life. And it's from friendships from way back to even some recent friendships I made. And my family. My family's awesome. My parents still help me as best they can. They're there to support me. I have a good relationship with my brother, who's a pretty busy guy, but we still get along well when we're together. So there's a lot good there. But when you think about 33, well, I usually think of a young person who's married, maybe has a kid or two or a kid on the way, working the 9 to 5, maybe not doing the whole soccer practice routine yet, but it's coming. And then I think about my lifestyle, which is drastically different, where as Bachelor, I do what I want to do. I don't call to anybody. I don't have to wait for answers. I work for myself. I have my own counseling practice. So I don't have to ask for days off if I'm going for an appointment, or simply don't want to work so much that day. But even on my days off, I end up working from time to time. And my usual weeknights aren't nights that I stay in and I'm in bed by 9:30. They're usually me out and about with friends, other people who are also single. And that's not an issue. That's actually really nice. It's nice to have a community of people that, even though most of my time is spent home between work and spending time on my own, I still have people that I can come together with. And we do live in a very disconnected world. I think it's very hard to maintain relationships, in part because we don't have community like we used to. We don't kind of grow up with our neighbors and the people that we saw from grade school and high school. It's very different in that respect, where I would say a lot of people that I know have maybe a few friends from grade school, high school, and college combined. I'm fortunate to have a really good friend group from college, but most of them have moved away from here. So that's where I've had to adapt over time, right? And I've been in relationships, and I've enjoyed a lot of the good aspects of relationships, spending time with people's families, getting to know one person very intimately, getting to care for them and do special things for them, and on occasion them doing special things for me. But they didn't work. And so I think at a certain point, that big romantic dream, it's, I guess it's even hard to talk about. That big romantic dream that I once had is kind of gone. And it wasn't necessarily replaced by bitterness or apathy exactly. I mean, maybe in a way, but it was. Maybe indifference. And so, yes, I look for people, but dating is also hard. Dating apps, someone like me who's maybe average physical attractiveness, I don't really get noticed. And so, while I might have a successful business, a good home, I'm a good listener, emotionally stable, a very caring person, I don't attract people too much through dating. And to me, that has been kind of sad at times, and I've had to question, or no, I didn't have to, but I did question my self worth a little. Like, well, what's wrong with me? And the conclusion I've come to is that maybe I can market myself better, those attractive parts of myself, put myself out there more in certain ways. And I've also realized I need to also look more in other places, maybe more niche, because it's also hard to find people who are similar to you, especially if you're somebody who works on yourself. So you're emotionally intelligent, maybe you're an intellectual, maybe you're somebody who has their life together in a lot of different ways, and it may be hard to find other people who also have their lives together, who aren't simply looking for someone else to go out with to fix their lives. And being able to have friend groups and people you can rely on and go out with from time to time, as well as plenty of honestly fun and interesting things to do on your own. I mean, it's special. So when I hang out with friends, we're sharing about all the cool things that we're doing, watching movies, TV shows, going to this place or that, playing this video game. We're exchanging hobbies. We're talking about our pets because to us, they're kind of like our children. And it can be hard sometimes because I might look at my friends who have actual children and are working because they need to support their family. And maybe at a certain point, I did kind of put myself underneath them, and maybe even from a status standpoint, I might still put them a little above me. Like, wow, you're living out a very important mission, building a family and taking care of children, um, obviously taking care of a marriage. Very important responsibilities, but I'm less inclined to put myself down than I was. That I'm living an important life too. That I'm making an impact on the people I spend time with, and they make an impact on me. That, hanging out, watching movies on a Tuesday night or going to a friend's birthday party. I went to a craft night a couple weeks ago and we painted. And none of us have kids. Would a bunch of parents get together and do that? Probably not. Getting babysitters together, or taking the kids with them and expecting that to go relatively cleanly. It's not really in the cards. But we make an impact on each other and we care deeply about each other. We have our own community and we take care of each other, I think. And really, this life is so much about taking care of each other. It's about love. And that love has a lot of different ways to translate. And so, to return to the original point about there's four things that we want, maybe it all boils down to love. Maybe it boils down to loving yourself, having enough self respect and self worth to be able to be you. And that's what I found has been most important in my 30s is being authentically me. Not having to be this person who has to people please or make other people happy just for the sake of it. That I can make others happy by being myself. And that if they don't like me, that's okay too. I could live out my purpose through my hobbies and accept that part of God loving me in my journey in my faith is accepting the love that God gives me through the gifts He gives me. And instead of whining or complaining about how I don't have this or that, appreciate what I do have and accept those things. Life is short. I'm young. 33 is still young in my book, but life is short. I don't want to take that for granted. A thought is that 33 is like being a big kid nowadays. That I could relive the old nostalgia of when I was 12, but I also have to give some kind of sense of purpose to the world. And that's partially correct. But it's also about taking responsibility and helping out others in a way that's accepting of where my place in life is. It doesn't have to be having kids, it doesn't have to be getting married. And rushing to do those things with the wrong person is certainly not the way to go and is irresponsible to both you and to them. Instead, I think it's about accepting your life situation for what it is and loving yourself for who you are. You might strive to be a little better than yesterday, and that's okay. But that's separate from your value. And I've had to learn that. That I can increase maybe my value to others or my own self confidence, but my worth as a person, that stays the same no matter what. I'm worthy in God's eyes. And I know I'm a person, and that inherently gives me worth. And so I hope you know that too. Thanks for listening. I hope you have a wonderful day.